Today, we're going to talk about the hidden tax of success. Yes, the hidden tax of success. Now, let me explain it to you this way. I know plenty of executives who can negotiate million-dollar deals. They can manage $100 million profit and loss statement, and they can negotiate their way in and out of executive rooms and boardrooms at the highest level. These people are winning at every aspect of success inside of corporate executive leadership. But at the same time that they're winning inside of the boardroom or inside the executive room, they're struggling in their own life financially. Now, when I say struggling in their own life financially, I'm not talking about their income to debt ratio. See, they have made enough money that they've overcome every hurdle around income to debt ratio. I'm not talking about their house being in foreclosure because their house is paid off. I'm not talking about them failing in their personal financial debt. No, because they've learned how to manage their debt and gotten themselves out of debt. But what do I mean struggling financially? I mean they're struggling financially because they're carrying the financial burdens of their entire family and sometimes the community. Now, that is what I'm talking about when I say the hidden tax of success, that these executives literally are using their resources to take care of so many other people outside of their household that they're losing every opportunity to build wealth in the right way. And when I have a conversation with these executives about, so why do you feel the need to cover everybody else's expenses? You know what they say back to me? I got to do it because nobody else will. I got to be the one to help everybody because I'm the one that made it out. I'm the one that achieved the mountaintop. I'm the one that got the success, and I got to do my part to help everybody out. Now, here's what I'm saying, that this is not about their lifestyle at all. This has nothing to do with their lifestyle, but it has everything to do with their legacy. So today, I want to unpack the challenge around the hidden tax of success and give you a game plan on how you can build your legacy and not lose it because of the loyalty that you have to your family or your community. Because that's something that's really important, to being loyal to your family, to being loyal to the community. But you should not do it at an expense that compromises your future and your legacy. And so today I want to spend a few minutes talking about this because I want to point out something, that being generous is admirable. That's exactly what we should do, is to be generous. We should be cheerful givers. That's exactly what we should be doing. And it's also honorable to be of service and supportive to people in your family. That's what it means being the good son, or the great son, or the great nephew, or the great daughter, whoever you are to your family. Being generous is admirable. Supporting your family is honorable. But you don't want to do it to your detriment, because you'll look up very quickly and everybody around you will have their hand out. Now, when I say everybody will have their hand out, you'll find yourself paying your niece's college tuition. You'll find yourself covering somebody's copay or co-insurance for medical bills. You'll be paying for funerals. You'll be buying laptops for college. You'll be buying books and, cleats and sweatpants and paying for people's travel ball fees for them to go play basketball or volleyball. You will be the one that everybody comes to and says, hey, I really need resources for this. And because you have the means, the financial means to do so, that you will start to do it. But then you'll look up and not be able to understand, where did all my extra income go? Again, I'm not talking about your household bills. You're paying your mortgage, you're paying your car note, you're paying all of the things that are essential. But your family is in need because you might be the only one of your siblings that made it out. You might be the only one from your neighborhood that got an opportunity to go to college. You might be the only one that you know that got a chance to go to an elite academic institution and get an incredible education that puts you in a position to do things that most people you grew up with could never imagine that you're doing. And so you want to give back. You want to support. So the tuition, the medication, the hospital bill, the rent, the light bill, the phone bill, the water bill, or furnishing the brand new baby's bedroom because you can, is something that you don't just want to do, you get asked to do it. So to every single person in your family, you are the plug. And when you become the plug, year after year, month after month, family member after family member after family member, and I ain't even talking about your friends, your boys that you grew up with who, like you, had some of the similar opportunities, but they made mistakes. They may even gotten incarcerated. And so now you get the phone call, Junebug is getting out of jail and he needs some help rebuilding his life. And you're in a position to help. So you're furnishing the apartment, buying his car, maybe helping him to pay all of his restitution so he can be done with probation and parole. This is the hidden tax of being successful. Now, again, I'm not pointing it out to be all negative because it's not negative to be a giver and to support the people in your family. But it becomes a negative when everybody is overly reliant on you because of your success. And you start to feel burdened by it. You start to feel stress and anxiety if you don't give, that it becomes an obligation rather than an opportunity to invest in people. You feel emotionally, intellectually taxed. And then you look up, you start to realize in the last 5 years, you've given away not just 5 figures worth of revenue and income, but 6 figures. So you become the person that everybody depends on. And then mentally, emotionally, you become trapped. You become trapped. You feel trapped. You feel like the walls are coming in that I can't even do for myself because I got to do for everybody else. That I can't take the trip that I want to take because I don't want everybody in my family to see me going to the Maldives and they're going to be upset at me if I don't pay such and such's medical bill or I don't buy such and such insurance. Now, I'm talking about the extended network of friends and family, not your immediate family, not your spouse, not your kids, but I'm talking about everybody else. You start to feel trapped. Now, here are the 3 reasons that you feel trapped. And I'm going to give these to you. And then I'm going to give you 3 solutions that'll help you to navigate these waters. Reason number 1 you feel trapped is because of what I call it's the chosen tax. That, you've heard sports players or athletes that make it to the professional ranks. They talk about this. I think there was a television show that LeBron James made one year called Survivor's Remorse. That because you survived the hood, you survived the projects, you survived the trailer park, you survived, a horrible upbringing or a difficult life, and you made it out to financial success in some way, shape, or form, you are now the chosen one. You are the ticket for everybody else to get out of the hood. So your friends come with every business idea that they got. Every uncle got a get-rich-quick scheme on how he wants to start this business, and he just needs $20,000 from his favorite nephew. Or again, as I said earlier, you paying your niece's college tuition. You're paying your nephews, you buying your nephew's laptop or computer or his camera for his new, course business that he's trying to develop. You're paying for funeral expenses because somebody didn't have life insurance or didn't have burial insurance or whatever it is. And now the funeral expenses are $18,000 and you're the one that got it. You are the chosen one. So you have to cover it. And there's nothing that feels good about being the chosen one. You actually feel trapped to the obligations of your extended family. Now, here's the second reason why you feel trapped. It's what I call a systemic disadvantage trap. Now, what do I mean systemic disadvantage? I read a book. I can't remember the author's name. I think her last name was Brown, Dr. Brown. The book was called The Whiteness of Wealth. And what the book talked about is when you paying for somebody's funeral, when you paying somebody's rent, when you buying school clothes, when you're buying somebody's laptop, or you helping somebody to get a new lease on life after they've overcome their addiction or they've gotten out of jail, if you invest resources in all those things, none of those things are able to be written off on your taxes. So you're giving, but you don't even get the advantage of getting the tax deduction for being charitable to everybody in your family. Yet other people find ways to give those same resources and they write them off on their taxes. So there's a systemic disadvantage that how many times, particularly if you are a person of color, African-American, other person of color, you don't have those other systems. So you give cheerfully and lovingly to the people in your family to help them at their time of need. But like I said, you end up spending $50,000 on stuff over 5 years, which is $10,000 a year. That could be a decent and important tax deduction, but you can't write it off because your personal gifts to family members and friends don't count as tax write-offs. So it makes you feel trapped that you're not doing something right, that you're giving away to what you want to give away to, that you want to support, but you get no structural benefit from it, no tax benefit from it. You don't benefit the way other people tend to benefit. That is the second reason you feel trapped. Now, the third reason that you feel trapped is what I call the legacy mirage, that you somehow think that if I am spending money to help my niece pay rent or to help my cousin get back on his feet, that I'm giving them a good foundation that's going to be a part of my legacy. When you and I both know in reality that many times when you give money away, even if people say they're going to pay you back, that when they get on their feet, they're going to pay you back, they're not going to pay you back. And as a matter of fact, if you're thinking and looking for them to pay you back, you're doing it wrong. See, I personally made a decision that if I'm going to give money away to someone, I'm giving it away. Even if they say, I'm going to pay you back in 2 months, I'm going to pay you back in 3 months, I'm going to pay you back in 6 months, I'm not looking for it back. I'm being a cheerful giver. But I also make a decision about what I'm going to give, when I'm going to give, how I'm going to give, and where I'm going to give. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to stay focused right now on the legacy mirage. See, when I say legacy mirage, you want to think about the money that you have, the money that you choose to give. How is it going to be sustainable or be a foundation for someone to have some greatness, someone to have some success in their life? And many times, you know, the phrase that I've heard family members use before, that you throw in good money after bad. Good money after bad. Now, I'm not trying to define what bad is, but I'm telling you this. I bet you know deep down inside, when you get that phone call and you get asked for that $300, that $500, that $5,000, or maybe even that $10,000, you know that you throw in good money after bad. You know you are, but you feel obligated to do it. And you think maybe I'm going to do some good by giving this money away. You think it's going to be a part of your legacy, but it really is just a mirage. It's not real. The same way you gave it to them, they're going to forget that you even gave it to them unless you bring it back up, which is something that you would never do in the first place, is to bring it back up in their face. You gave it cheerfully, but you know that it's not setting a foundation for success. So when you feel trapped like this, when you are, experiencing the hidden tax of success, whether you're the chosen one, whether you the systemic disadvantage of not being able to write it off, or you know that the money that you give is not going to build something sustainable or legacy lasting for the person that you gave it to, you got to recalibrate. Or more specifically, you got to reclaim your power and your purpose around your success. So I want to give you 3 things that you should do right now. And when I say do it right now, I just want you to consider it. I really want you to consider. I'm not making you to do anything. It's your money. You can give it and use it whatever way you want. It's your money. But I just want to give you 3 things to think about. 3 things that I feel like if you understood them and you operated in this way, it would reduce the hidden burden or the hidden tax that you feel emotionally, maybe even financially, maybe even familiarly in terms of the context of your family that you're carrying the burden. It might reduce it a little bit and give you some freedom and framework to know that what you're really building is legacy and not just giving money away for any frivolous reason. So I want to give you 3 things to think about, 3 things to reclaim your power. And the first thing is this: you have to show up and lead with boundaries, not burnout. Now, when I say lead with boundaries, I want you to practice something with me. This might be really hard for you to practice with me, but I want you to practice this with me. And it's a verbal practice session that we're going to do together. Okay. So I want you to repeat after me this phrase that I'm about to say that would be really important for you to lead with boundaries and not with burnout. Here's the phrase: no. I want you to say it again with me. Say no. See, it is 2 letters, a full sentence. The word is no. You have to learn how to say no. You cannot continue to give to everyone. You have to make some decisions about who you will give to, how often you give to them, and what's the framework under which they will get it. You got to set some boundaries. You got to be clear about what your boundaries are. And if you want to say no, say no. Now, I know this might come as a shock to some of you, but I talk to a lot of executives. And I was having this conversation with an executive who is doing very, very well. I mean, extremely well. And he is one of the few family members in his family that got out of the hood that he lived in. And he's been successful, but he has his own children. He has his own wife that he is trying to support their ambitions, their goals, and their future. And that's his primary responsibility, is taking care of people around him. He also committed to take care of his parents because, they didn't work the best jobs or have the best careers, but he's in a position to be able to take care of his mom and dad. He's totally okay with that. But for his multiple siblings that he has, his multiple sisters and brothers, he might help out a little bit, but he's gotten very comfortable with saying no. That I can help you with your rent one time, but you can't call me every 3 months asking me to help pay your rent. It's just not going to work like that. You can't keep calling me every time you got a new idea for a get-rich-quick scheme or some business that you want to start. No, I'm not giving until. And the until becomes my second thing. But before I get to that second thing, I want to remind you, the first thing is you have to learn how to say no. Setting boundaries on who you will give to, when you will give, and how you will give is incredibly important. You got to learn how to say no to giving the money. Now, here's the second point. You got to learn how to define what support for your family looks like. And when I mean support, I'm talking about support beyond dollars. I want you to understand that sometimes the money out of your bank account is not the greatest asset that you can give to the people around you in need. What is the greatest asset? It might be your wisdom. It might be a resource that you have used to improve your financial position. If it ain't wisdom or if it ain't a resource, maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a connection that they need. Maybe it's introducing them to your financial advisor who helped you to get your house in order. Maybe it's giving them the books that you read. So whether it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or The Psychology of Money, maybe it's something that will help them long term that you've given them. And so if it's not your wisdom, if it's not a resource, if it's not a relationship that will help them, it might just be some basic guidance on how not to get into that situation again. But it doesn't actually have to be dollars. It can be support in other ways. And sometimes that will be more valuable than the dollar that you gave them. I think you all probably have heard this example before. Like, would you rather somebody give you $1 million, or would you rather have dinner with Warren Buffett? And some people say, you know what, I just want $1 million. But if you're a smart thinker, you would rather have dinner with Warren Buffett because you might get $100 million worth of gain rather than $1 million in your hand. So that's the second thing is think about what does support look like beyond just giving your dollars. Now, here's the third thing and the final thing that I want you to think about. I want you to think about how you can build a policy of giving rather than a pattern of giving. So when I say build a policy of giving and not a pattern of giving, if you don't have any rules of the road around what you will give, how you would give, when you would give, and the amounts that you would give, you will have people in your family coming to you over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it'll just be a pattern of you giving. But a policy around giving says that you've had a conversation with your wife, spouse, partner, whoever you're with, that, okay, we both got family members who have needs. We both got family members who need support. So in this calendar year, we're going to set aside X amount of dollars for giving. This is not in lieu of your tithes and offerings or your other charitable givings. I'm talking about the personal giving that you give to families and friends, that you support them with things that they need. So maybe it could be a car repair, or it could be tuition, or it could be help with medicine. It could be paying an insurance copayment. It could be helping to invest in a business. It could be any of the above. But you set some rules that in the calendar year 2020 blank, I'm only going to give this amount of dollars. Let's just say $10,000 because you got 10,000. Now, if you don't have 10,000 and you only got 3,000, then whatever it is, you need to set it. But I know you have some disposable resources because you're done your part successfully in your work and life. And so you got a little bit of disposable income. So whatever that amount is, set it. And then set the rules around what you will give to. And the rules around what you will give to is that if it's education related, because we value education, or I value education, I'm going to prioritize people who want to go to school or need money for school or even a school trip. I mean, it might be your high school nephew who really wants to go to this trip to Japan, but his parents don't have the resources to send him to Japan. But you know that educational experience will change his perspective and maybe change his life. Maybe it's a study abroad program. Who knows what it is? But if you value education, set that as priority one. If it's education related, we're going to give. The second thing, if it's entrepreneur related, that it means if you want to start a business, if you want me to buy some of your products and services, if you want me to help you to launch this business, I'm willing to invest X amount of dollars into the business. Whatever it is, set your values framework. And then the third thing, this is the third thing, but I'm just to give you another way to think about your boundaries of how you will decide what you will give to, when you will give to, how you will give to it, is you need to think about what family members you want to invest in. Is it that same brother who can't figure it out and never been able to figure it out, but call you with a new idea every week? Do you want to give to him again? Or is it the nephew, the niece, the one who wants to go to medical school and wants to become a doctor? Do you want to invest in the youth in your family? You got to think about those things. So I'm getting ready to close here, and I'm going to repeat the three things I want you to think about. Is number one, is I want you to lead by example, not by burnout. You got to have boundaries. So you got to set a framework of the word no. Why you're going to say no. If it doesn't align with your values, then don't give them the money. That's the first thing. The second thing is you got to design what support looks like beyond dollars. Yeah, you want to give people dollars, but what else are you going to give them? Advice, counsel, relationships, a free resource, or a resource that you buy for them that helps them to get out of the circumstances that they're in. You got to think about what are you going to do in terms of just giving cash money, but what are you going to give them as a resource that will help them to be successful? And then the third thing is you got to build a policy around your giving, not just a pattern. And that policy could be the type of things you will invest in, how often you will invest, how many times you can come back to the well. Maybe if they get money from you this year, they can't come back again for 3 years or 2 years or next year, or maybe it's just 1 month. I mean, I don't know. It is totally up to you. But let me tell you the reason why you got to figure this out. Because if you don't figure it out, it's going to burn you into the ground. It's going to burn you into the ground. You're going to lose your capital and your capacity to give to other people. And you can't afford to do that. None of us can afford to do that. So you want to protect your peace, protect your capital, be able to support your family like you need to, but not be overwhelmed with the hidden tax of success. And that's what I wanted to share with you this week. And why am I sharing it this week? It's because we're getting close to the end of the year. You're going to spend a whole lot of time around family over the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I promise you this, that somebody is going to ask you for something. And when they do, you want to have a clear, reasonable framework of how you make the decision, whether you say no, whether you give them some other kind of non-financial support, or if you give them financial support, what are the rules of the road of how they can attain the support? That's my word for you today. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next week for Leadership Live with Anton Gunn. Take care.